Melissa, thank you so much for joining me today on talking about this important topic, which really is a great sign of their gut health. Guys, I want you to welcome Melissa Klepacki. We met recently as part of another group, and as I have found out that she's trained in Chinese medicine and she's a constipation specialist. And most importantly, I found out that she has written a book about this too, a Constipation Code that was published recently. So I had asked her to kind of jump on my podcast so she can give all that great information for our audience too. Melissa, thank you so much for joining me. And I know that you're a functional gut health expert and you have been also called by your dear clients as a poop whisperer. So tell us more on what you do and why do you do it?
Dr. Indrani, yes. I started studying Chinese medicine back in the 90s. And I love it because it really is the true root cause healing. The big thing in alternative medicine right now is functional medicine. And Chinese medicine is the true functional medicine. It's dealing with the roots and not the branches. That's where that whole root cause came from, was the idea of treating the roots of the tree to make the tree healthy. We don't treat the branches. And so I studied in the 90s. I was in sports medicine for quite a while, until I got sick myself. I woke up one morning, I was 39 years old. I had two little boys and my right hand was numb. And I thought to myself, ooh, I slept on my neck wrong. You know how you do that? Sometimes you wake up with a little tingly. Well, by the end of the day, my whole left side was numb. And I was in the ER, I was in the hospital for 3 days. And at the end of my stay, they smiled and said, there's nothing wrong with you. Which sent me on a journey to figure out what had affected me so drastically, right, in that month of May in 2009. I had that numbness for a few days, followed by a week of headaches, followed by a week of really, really bad fatigue, and then it went away. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of the summer, I started with stomach pains. And it was undiagnosed for 5 years. I saw doctors in 3 states locally. I flew to the Mayo Clinic for a week and no one could diagnose me. And then I found functional medicine and was diagnosed with Lyme disease. Later, by a Lyme specialist, co-infections of Lyme disease. I also had Bartonella, Babesia, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, only later to learn that was complicated by parasites and mold.
My goodness.
I know that's a lot. I know that's a lot to take in, and it was a lot for me, but thank God I didn't find out all at once. One of the biggest problems that I had during Lyme treatment was constipation. I had been on so many antibiotics because I had 4 different infections, all requiring different treatment. My gut was shot. I couldn't poop. I couldn't eat anything. Everything sent me either to the bathroom immediately, or I wasn't going for days and I was just getting more and more and more bloated. I didn't really know what I would get. And it wasn't until I worked with a different functional doctor, gut health specialist, that I was able to actually get the information about what was happening in my gut so that I knew what was happening and I could actually treat it and heal. That for me was almost more life-changing than getting over Lyme disease. It really impacted my life. I love to be outside and exercise. And if you have constipation and bloating, that doesn't work. If you have no access to a bathroom, you need a bathroom when you need a bathroom. And it sounds so silly, but it's not. It's not. It's life-changing. It's life-altering and life-stopping. And so as I was healing myself from the Lyme and the constipation problems and starting to see more clients come into my practice with Lyme disease, the common denominator was everybody's gut was shot because everybody had been through the ringer of Western treatment and antibiotics and, all kinds of things we had been subjected to. Yeah. And so that's kind of where I started focusing. I realized that everyone who came into the practice, 90% of the people that came in were constipated. And I as a practitioner, as someone who wants to treat Lyme disease or treat one of the infections, you need to kill it to treat it. And if you try to kill something in the body and there's no escape hatch, you're not getting those toxins out on a daily basis, people feel sicker and sicker.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
the majority of my work
Mhm.
became the beginnings, the foundation. The foundation of treating Lyme disease is not having constipation, having drainage pathways wide open so that when you start detoxing and killing things, there's an escape hatch. So that's how I got into it. I
Mhm.
spoke in 2024 to a group of 1,200 practitioners about what I had uncovered learning about constipation, which was there are 8 root causes.
Mhm.
And that doesn't take into account, I want to caveat that by saying, if you have had trauma, if you have had surgery where you have adhesions, if there is some big pelvic floor issue,
Yeah.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about a physical problem. I'm talking
Mhm.
about all the other things that go wrong physiologically, and there are 8 root causes. And so I wrote this book called The Constipation Code. And what's fun about it is I'm 55. I grew up with Cosmo magazine, and I loved taking those quizzes. Didn't you, Dr. Indrani?
Yes, I've
It
seen
would be
that.
like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
are you a romantic? And I would be like, am I? Am I? I don't know. And I would want to take the quiz. And so this is this root cause affecting your constipation? And there's a quiz. And at the end of the quiz, you get a clear answer. Yep, that's probably a factor for me. Or no, I don't think that's really affecting my constipation. And there are protocols that follow. So, for instance, number 1 is hydration. A lot of people get it wrong. A lot of people don't drink enough water, or they just drink plain water without
Mhm.
electrolytes. We can get into any of this if you want. I mean, I talk about it all in the book.
Mhm.
Electrolytes are really important to help you keep the water in your body.
Right.
And so I like my clients to start their morning with a glass of water with electrolytes, and making sure that the timing is right, right? We're not drinking right before meals because then you're diluting your stomach acid. We
Mhm.
need our stomach acid to be robust to do the digesting for us. And so, like, there's lots of tips and tricks that follow the quiz. If it's an issue for you, here's what you do. And
Right.
then you move on to the next
Mhm.
hidden reason, and you take that quiz and you say, oh, is this a part of my picture, right? Because very rarely is it ever one thing.
Right. Mhm.
That's why there isn't one fix. There's not one magic pill or potion that will fix your constipation. It is a blending of your root causes, and often making tiny little changes to a few of them
Yeah.
gets you a beautiful result.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad that there is such a great resource that people can access through your book in terms of diagnosing themselves, in terms if they have constipation or not. But we'll also talk about what it look like if somebody has a constipation as a definition. And like you said, right, in functional medicine, when we use food as medicine, the gut health foundation has to be great for somebody to even start absorbing all the nutrition that they get so they can absorb all the vitamins and stuff. And most importantly, they got to be able to eliminate all the toxic waste because our gut, our liver, our skin, these are the detoxing organs. And if these are good, if these are not good, then we'll absorb, we'll retain those toxins, and recycling of that is not good for us at all. So, Melissa, tell me, like, what would you define as constipation? Because I think a lot of people think, going maybe every 2 days, every 3 days is normal, or maybe they don't think something is wrong there at all.
Yeah, it's a good question. And when someone asks me that and I say to them, "Well, how often do you poop?" and they'll say, "Well, every 2 to 3 days." And I'll say, "Happy with that?" No. No one ever says yes. No one is ever happy pooping every 2 to 3 days. It could be your normal,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not okay. Every day. Once a day, preferably twice a day. I like my clients to poop once a day in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we empty ourselves out from all of yesterday's, take the garbage out, and we start that morning over fresh and clean, and we fill it back up. People who have really good gut health, who are eating high fiber diets, will poop more than once a day. You have so much fiber in there, and part of my programs are helping people to build their fiber because it's not something that you can do overnight. If you are missing the gut bacteria that
Mhm.
eat that fiber,
Yeah.
it's going to ferment in your system and you're going to have bloat and it's not going to feel good. It's going to be like adding more cars to your traffic jam.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure, right? I mean, would you also talk about the quality of the stools?
Sure, yes.
Because
There's
not the
something
frequency, right? It also.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
something called the Bristol stool chart that
Yeah.
most people never see. And I'm sitting at my desk and I have to laugh because I took my dog to
Mhm.
the vet and
Mhm.
the vet handed me essentially a Bristol stool chart, a dog fecal scoring chart, and said
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
of these is your dog's stool, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
But has your doctor ever asked you, what does your stool look like? We should be.
Yep.
It's important
Mhm.
because if your stool looks like this, number one, like goat pellet poops, that's constipated.
Mhm.
That means it's sitting in your system too long and the water's being extracted from the colon. And now you're left with dry, hard stool. It's not great. Number two, you can see is kind of those pellet all smashed together almost.
Mhm.
Still not okay. Not enough liquid in your stool. A lot of times we see that with dehydration.
Yeah.
Number three and four. Number three is what really a human stool should look like, right? It should be like a worm. It should, if you have a really nice bulky stool, it should curl up like a snake in the toilet. And the edges should be smooth, not craggly, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of a four in human. And then we get into five, six, and seven, and that's when it falls into the toilet and it falls apart,
Mm.
or it's just liquid, right? None of those are okay. Too hard is not great. Too soft's not great. Like the three bears, right?
Yeah.
The one that's just right is that one in the middle. So it shouldn't have a super bad odor. I
Mhm.
always tell people if you can't stand the smell of your own stool, there's a problem. That means there's usually an infection, and that could be either
Mhm.
sickeningly sweet
Mhm.
smell or just very foul. That's a reason to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
No one, it shouldn't smell great, right? It's poop. But
Yeah.
you know when
Yeah.
you smell something that's not right. And then color should be
Yeah.
depending on what you're eating.
Mhm.
If you're eating beets, you're going to have maybe a little bit of red in your
Right.
stool.
Mhm.
If you're taking things like activated charcoal as a binder, which
Yeah.
people do sometimes on protocols, then it's going to be darker. My mom called me the other day in a
Mhm.
panic because her stool was black.
Yeah.
She took Pepto-Bismol.
All right. Yeah.
That
That makes sense.
happens.
Yeah. Hmm.
So normally it
Yeah.
should be solid dark brown. That's the consistency, color, and quality.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, talking about the colors too. Some of those, some things can be dangerous too, right? I mean, the black color can be sign with the charcoal intake or Pepto-Bismol sometimes, but it also can be seen. Black color with a bad smell sometimes can be a sign of GI bleeding, right? Upper GI bleeding, and of course, blood in the stools is never normal. We never need to see blood in the stools. There's that always has to be investigated more.
Now they make stool. You can go to CVS and get if you're ever worried, if you ever like have dark stool and you're like, "Ooh, that's
Mhm.
weird for me." You can get a card and you
Oh,
can
okay.
test your own.
Okay, I didn't know
You can
that.
test your
Yeah,
stool. Mhm.
it's available then. Okay,
Mhm.
that's great.
So people by all means should test either with your doctor or at the very least,
Mhm.
if you're worried, just
Yeah.
by your own.
So here is something fascinating from your book, Melissa. You talk about the clients whose migraines disappeared, their skin cleared, their energy increased, when you fix that constipation part. So what is the connection there, and what do you think is happening? Why are they getting better with all the other
Yeah.
things too, not related with constipation?
And most people lose a little weight to boot, which is
Yep.
such a bonus. But
Yeah. Mhm.
if you're constipated and you're pooping 2 to 3 times a week, you're probably carrying 5 pounds of extra stool in your gut.
Yeah.
Number one, that's going to slow you down.
Mhm.
Number two, it's telling me your drainage pathways aren't open and toxins need an escape. If they can't escape in your stool, they're
Mhm.
going to escape via skin.
Yeah.
In Chinese medicine, we always say heat escapes through the skin. So when we see those red rashes,
Mm.
we always think back to what pattern we're looking at, which organ is it coming from, right?
Mm.
Um, It's funny because I was just talking to somebody about face mapping and understanding like that the liver opens up into the eyes and the kidneys open up into the ears, and how all
Mm.
of that
Yeah.
makes sense, especially, when we look at rashes. People with, angry livers often have red eyes.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Happens. Um,
Fascinating. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, but so skin is a definitely one. People
Yeah.
complain about eczema and psoriasis and rosacea and weird rashes. I had a client who every 2 to 3 months would break out in hives so bad on her face and chest she couldn't go to work.
Mm. Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
she was also constipated, like pooping not with any regularity. Like she wouldn't call herself constipated because it wasn't like every 2 days, but it might be like she'd poop twice one day and then not for 2 days kind of thing. She wasn't sure where she fit on that, which I would still consider constipated. But
Yeah.
she also had a bad parasite problem.
Mm.
Parasites drive histamine, histamine drives hives. When we got rid of the parasites, no hives, gone.
Mm.
That's part of constipation work too, because
Yeah.
parasites is one of the root causes.
Yeah.
It's in the book, and it does slow down um,
Yeah.
bowels for a lot of people.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought it up because I mean, nowadays people are learning, digging into more about the parasites and their impact on their health and stuff. So this is also one of the signs that they can figure out if they have parasite issues.
Yeah, it's a big deal. When
Mm-hmm.
I put people through a comprehensive detox,
Mm-hmm.
I've probably worked with a couple hundred people now on it. I haven't had one. I had one person, the only person who didn't see parasites was someone who dropped out.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's shocking. I was shocked
Mm.
the first time I saw a parasite in my stool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you think, we have animals. I have dogs.
Yeah.
They take dewormers.
Mm-hmm.
Livestock takes dewormers. You've seen those videos on Instagram of the bears during the salmon run. Have you seen
Oh,
those
yes, I've seen. I
with
love
the
that.
with just
Tapeworm.
tons of worms?
Yeah, the tapeworm, that long tapeworm
Yeah,
that I saw.
right.
One of the
I
bears.
mean,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
we're beasts. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, we're going to have parasites.
Yes.
I don't know why we haven't caught up with that one yet. The
Mm-hmm.
Native Americans always parasite cleansed around full moons. And that's what we do. We use the full moon because
Mm-hmm.
parasites are most active during a full moon.
Yeah.
When your melatonin is at its lowest,
Yeah.
right? Because there's so much light in the sky
Mm-hmm.
from the moon, so your melatonin's low and your serotonin gets high. That's when they are active, and that's when we
Yeah.
strike.
Yeah, I think in general, if people have a sudden change in their bowel movements from going from a regular bowel movement to constipation, or they're going from regular bowel movement to diarrhea, there always needs to be a deeper investigation in the cause. I know one of them is a parasite part, and one of them is those 8 hidden factors that I think we'll discuss more next. But definitely, with the rate of increase of colon cancer, anybody 40 and above should be getting a colonoscopy too, as part of the diagnostic testing in terms of elimination. I would definitely advocate for that, any of those audience who's listening to this, because that should be also part of the differentials for anybody.
Yes. We always want to make sure. We always want to make sure it's nothing bad,
Yeah, correct.
right? That the reason
Mhm.
you can't poop or the reason you have pain is nothing bad.
Mhm.
I step in when your doctor says things like just eat
Mhm.
more fiber and drink more water.
Mhm.
That's like
Yeah.
when I help. When people
Yeah.
have tried and been to doctors and tried the special diets, right?
Mhm.
And they've been on the FODMAP and they have done the breath test, and they still,
Mhm.
now I had a client call the other day who had zero safe foods. There was not
Oh,
one thing she could eat that didn't cause pain and bloating.
oh, that is tough, sad. Mhm.
Yeah. So if you're out there listening and you're like, I have 10 things I can eat, you're
Mm.
headed to zero,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
you take a hold, get control now while you can, because
Mhm.
it doesn't reverse itself. Constipation.
Yeah, for sure, right? I think functional and the holistic medicine part comes in when the standard conventional medicine has failed to help these people. Those guys didn't fit in the box. They've done all the the consultation specialist visits, they've done the scopes, colonoscopy, endoscopies, all of that, and they got the standard advice of more fiber and drink more water, but they're not getting the solutions and they're still continuing to suffer. So, why do you think that advice fails? And what are those eight hidden factors that we really need people to be aware of?
Yeah, the advice fails because some people, it's not a fiber issue. Some
Mhm.
people, it's not a water issue. Some
Mhm.
people do a really good job hydrating and they're still constipated. Mm, So you've got hydration, number one. We
Mhm.
talked a little bit about it. And
Yeah.
I can't go into it. If I could talk for 3 hours. I just did my audiobook where I did talk for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Um, but hydration's a big one. And so we talked about that. The second one is food. Food is medicine, like you said. We
Mhm.
always have to consider food. If
Yeah.
I had $1 for every client that called and said, I have a good diet, but I'm constipated, it's not a good diet for them.
Right.
That's all it boils down to. You've got it wrong.
Mhm.
Couple things that you can do about that is one, food sensitivity testing,
Mhm.
199 bucks, finger stick. You get the results back and you learn that, oh my God, I've been eating an almond milk smoothie with spinach every morning and banana for the last 30 days. And all of those foods are red for me. They're not, none of those are safe. They're causing inflammation in my body,
Mhm.
right? So if you're eating the wrong things for you.
Yeah.
Secondly, a lot of my clients are into this high protein diet,
All
right?
right.
So they get up in the morning, like typical
Mhm.
client, 45-year-old female executive with kids, gets up at 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe has half a cup of coffee, meets with her trainer, does a high intensity interval training workout,
Mhm.
runs home, eats, what was she eating? A couple of eggs, one egg and two egg whites scrambled.
Mhm.
And maybe a piece of turkey bacon,
Right. Yeah.
and then off to the races. And there was no fiber in there. And
Mhm.
she's not pooping, right? Obviously, there's
Yeah.
no fiber in
Mhm.
there, and that morning panic is one of my other reasons that people are constipated. One of the other root causes is
Mhm.
nervous system dysregulation.
Yeah.
You can't poop when you're being chased by a bear, and if you wake up in the
Mhm.
morning and you are racing to the gym and pushing through a hard workout,
Mhm.
how long till your body comes down enough to let you poop?
Right.
But then you're adding in that high fat, saturated, zero fiber breakfast balm,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? So that's why it's complicated. That's why you do the quizzes and you
Yeah.
figure out which of them are
Mhm.
affecting you. Um, and so, like, lots of nutrition tips like that. Like, but you have to get fiber in the morning. I'm an oatmeal fan. I
Mm.
am. And if people are having problems with blood sugar, you can add a protein powder to it.
Yeah.
Right? You can add nuts and berries and seeds and chia seeds to it.
Mhm.
It's even better. Um, so we'll go through. So that was the second chat. That was actually the
Mm.
second factor, chapter 4. Chapter 5 is liver dysfunction.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
People don't really think about liver dysfunction, but your liver is responsible for making your bile. And your bile is what grabs your toxins and takes them out through your poop and also helps to make your poop slippery. If you don't have enough bile,
Yeah.
you're not going to poop well. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease caused by processed foods and seed oils that we're eating. We're eating wrong.
Yeah.
And so there's a quiz about your liver and how to understand if liver is a factor.
Yeah.
Medication side effects is chapter 6, and I think it's a big one for a lot of people. And it's amazing to me. I will have clients call who are kind of feeling like they're doing everything right, but then when we go over their list of medications, they're taking 4 different drugs that slow down their motility.
Right. Yeah.
No,
Common listed side effects of a lot of
no one ever
medication.
told them.
Yeah.
Nobody ever
Mhm.
told them. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you can go back to your prescribing doctor and say, is there an alternative that won't make me constipated? And you can
Yeah.
try that. So it's about, there's doing your own research. This book is really about being your own investigator because by the time
Yeah.
you reach this book, you've been told
Mhm.
what to do and it hasn't worked,
Yeah.
right? My clients, my readers come frustrated.
Mhm.
I don't know what to do anymore. I've tried every pill, every potion, every piece of advice my sister's uncle's brother did for his
Yeah.
constipation.
Yeah.
And the reason it doesn't work is because everybody's biochemically. different.
Different, yeah.
Mineral deficiencies is a big one.
Okay.
Chapter 7.
Mm.
We don't talk enough in the world about minerals. We talked a lot in 90s and 2000s about take your multivitamin. Big push, one a
Mm.
day, Flintstones, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
never really minerals. And what we don't realize is that our soil is so depleted,
yeah.
being over-farmed, that, I don't know the statistics, but something like you'd have to eat 3 oranges to get the same amount of vitamin C and minerals you got from one orange, your grandmother got from one orange. Have you heard those statistics?
I haven't heard those numbers, but I know that overall, the way the food is processed, everything is depleted.
Yeah,
And
this is
the
the way
way
everything's grown.
they're grown too, yes,
Hmm.
multiple factors there. And people are also not eating enough vegetables and fruits, isn't it? Like
Right.
in their
Which
habits
goes
are
back to the
not.
fiber, which
Mhm.
goes back to the eating and the fiber part for sure. And the other part of that is the polyphenols, right? So the
Mm.
polyphenols are the chemicals that are in those dark vegetables, like the orangey carrot, the red beet, the red grape, the pomegranate. They're the
Yeah.
ones that are really rich in polyphenols. And those
Mm.
are actually food for
Mm.
the good bacteria in your gut.
Mm.
Without those, like, you can do everything. You can take the most expensive probiotics and put them
Mm.
into your system. But if you don't feed them,
Yeah,
they're going to die,
yeah. They won't
right?
consider your gut as a home. They're
They
gonna
don't
just
consider your gut a home. Right. And I like to talk about it. I'd like to talk about your
Mhm.
gut for people
Yes.
who don't have a good understanding. I'd like
Mm.
to talk about the gut as a garden.
Right.
So the first thing you need if you're going to grow a garden this spring is good soil.
Mm.
Without good soil, nothing will grow. And it's the
Foundation. Yeah.
same with your gut lining. If
Mm.
your gut lining has been trashed because you've been eating and drinking all the wrong things, you're going to have a really hard time growing the good stuff. And this is when I see people get into the situation where they start having food sensitivities. I can't
Mm.
eat that. I can't eat that, because the bugs that are processing those foods in the gut are gone.
Yeah.
So now you can't eat those. Your body cannot digest those. The materials aren't there to digest those.
Mhm.
So you need to have that soil
Mhm.
really fertile, and then you can put the seeds in. And then you need to water them with the food and the polyphenols,
Yeah.
right? And so that's, I think, some of the most important things to consider when we consider what the gut looks like,
Mhm.
um, from a
Healthy gut.
from a garden perspective.
Yeah. That's a great example, right? Like starting with the foundations and then with the soil and then building up from there. Awesome.
And the sun, right? All of the things. And that's sort of like all of the factors that our gut needs. We need to be in nature. I
Yeah.
mean, there are scientific papers that talk about the health benefits of being in nature. For my clients that are constipated, getting
Mhm.
outside for 15 to 20 minutes once a day for a walk is mandatory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Raining, snowing, sunny,
Mhm.
sun on your face, breathing in fresh air,
Yeah.
and movement. One of the big things people don't think about is when we're sitting all day, it's
Mhm.
very hard for your bowels to move. Our
Yeah.
bowels are motivated to move when we move our bodies.
Yeah.
Peristalsis
Absolutely.
happens, the movement in the intestines,
Mhm.
as we're walking. If you think about babies,
Yeah.
if everyone who's had a baby, they get constipated pretty easy when they're just laying around all day. But if you help them, if they're jumping up and down, if you're doing this in a belly massage, they have
Yeah.
a much better chance of moving their bowels. So if you're sitting all day,
Yeah.
your bowels are sitting. So that's why I love outside 10 to 15, 20 minutes. Constant movement, fresh
Mhm.
air, sunshine,
Yeah.
important for overall health. That's foundational health. More than gut health, really foundational overall health.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great reminder, right, Melissa? Physical activity and the importance of it, even with the constipation aspect, because a lot of people don't connect that dots. I think basically what you're sharing here is for people to change their mindset, right? Mindset shift, going from a victim of constipation to becoming curious investigators of their own body signals,
Mhm.
and that will be important. The example of you shared about that busy female executive and how stress and anxiety and the hyper sympathetic nervous system, all of those can play a role in even slowing down the gut motility. That is
Mhm.
important. Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
And then the other factors,
mhm.
just to
Yeah,
round it out, just to give someone an idea of what
yeah.
else we talk about. We talk about mold and parasites.
Hmm.
Both are very misunderstood in
Yeah,
Western medicine, not tested for, not looked at.
yeah.
If anyone has questions about those, there's a chapter about that. And then nervous system dysregulation with
Hmm.
Dr. Andrani, I think affects everybody. I think
Yeah.
there's not one person who picks this book up who doesn't
Hmm.
see themselves in that quiz,
Yeah.
because we are living in a stressed out world. We
Hmm.
ask so much of ourselves and our bodies without really giving back to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So how do we do that with breath work? We
Mhm.
nourish ourselves with food, and we do breath work, and we find community, and we work hard to protect our nervous systems.
Yeah. And these are simple, free things which need to be part of our lifestyle as well. And they're readily available as long
Yeah.
as we make them as a daily habits. Yeah.
And that is sometimes the hardest, is just making the change, just taking the first step. Right. The book
Yeah.
makes it easy because
Yeah.
there are protocols, there are first
Mhm.
steps, there are, here's what you do. If you hate drinking water, try this. If you
Yeah.
have if you have trouble remembering to drink water, try this.
Hmm.
Right? There's always a way.
Yeah. It sounds like you're giving them a blueprint or a guidance on how to do this step by step. So they're not trying to piece it together from different sources and wondering, why things are not working, because it's coming from your experience and your own journey and all the things that you learned and you have the knowledge about. So it's going to be a quick shortcut for people, if they follow through this process.
Also, for people
Hmm.
that need a little bit more, that
Yeah.
want a little bit more handheld holding, I
Hmm.
developed a 21-day program
Okay.
where I guide you day by day through
Mhm.
how to understand what your intestinal transit time is, how to understand what's your
Mm.
starting point, how much fiber am I getting every day?
Yeah.
Because then we build in the 21 days, we
Yeah.
work on using daily motility agents, starting to have daily bowel movements, and then making some changes, walking, right? Taking that practice as part of our daily routine. Slowly raising fiber, both soluble and insoluble,
Mm.
very slowly,
Mhm.
right? Because as we gain some bowel regularity back, that's
Mm.
the time to increase the fiber, to put the good guys back.
Okay, so there is also more detailed support for somebody who's seeking that kind
Sure. Yes.
of,
Yes.
more hand holding and more direct support from you. That's awesome. So I think this is important that we discuss this aspect, what you mentioned in your book, Melissa, that people with persistent constipation have a 2.8 times higher risk of colorectal cancer. I mean, that's scary statistic. So, what are the hidden health dangers that people can develop when they're just, managing their constipation with laxatives or stool softeners and thinking that they're doing okay?
Yeah. Especially for my friends out there that are using laxatives, strong laxatives, once or twice a week to
Mm.
have sort of a bowel flush because they haven't moved their bowels.
Yeah.
You are dehydrating yourself. You are losing minerals. You are losing all your fat soluble vitamins. We fight so hard in the winter to keep our vitamin D levels up, and
Mhm.
you tank your vitamin D levels when you do that. So important for your immune system. And those days when you're not pooping, your toxins are recirculating. So you're not winning either way. There needs to be a way, and there is with the book and the program, to get into a system of regularity, to follow circadian rhythm. I can't tell you how many clients come who have no circadian rhythm
Mm.
set. They are up at all different times in the morning. There's no set meal schedule.
Yeah.
Sometimes they eat at 2 in the morning. Your
Mm.
body doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Your body likes consistency and regularity. It likes to know what's coming, especially when it has to do with your digestive system. While it loves variety, we encourage people to get 30 fruits and vegetables, different fruits and vegetables in their diets every week, which sounds really hard at first. But if you make a good vegetable soup,
Yeah.
you've got 5 covered.
Hmm.
right? And so we like the diversity because we want to feed different gut bugs. We want to have all kinds of different gut bugs growing beautifully in our garden. We don't want just tulips, for instance, right? We want all the wildflowers. And so we need to feed them all the foods, all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Thank you for sharing that. I do want to ask a little bit more about constipation and estrogen metabolism, right? Because I think majority of my clients are also women who are going through perimenopause and menopause. So I want you to maybe give them a little bit glimpse of what it means even for their estrogen metabolism if they have constipation as an issue. How can that be a factor, for them in their health?
In their health during perimenopause and menopause,
Yeah,
yeah, it only gets worse.
yeah.
Without estrogen, it only gets worse.
Mhm.
Estrogen helps things move and
Yeah,
keeps things moist, right? And so we
yeah,
tend to be slower and drier without estrogen.
yeah,
However, not and as hormones, which are a great
yeah.
solution for a lot of people. I'm a big fan of bioidentical hormone replacement therapy
Mhm.
done with the proper doctor based on your labs. You should
Yeah,
never be given any
mhm.
kind of medication without knowing where you are
Yeah,
already. Um, but I think a combination of reviewing your lifestyle
yeah,
practices, because a lot
yeah.
of us, what I'm finding too in perimenopause and menopause is a lot of people's children's have left. A
Mm.
lot of people stop cooking for themselves.
Right, yeah.
A
Mhm.
lot of people's
Nutrition. Yeah.
schedules change, right? So it's not just one thing changing. It's not just your internal body and menopause changing, but perhaps a configuration of a lot of other external factors that are impacting. So we go back to basics, like
Yeah.
this book too.
Mhm.
Revisit. Maybe you stopped
Yeah.
drinking water.
Mhm.
Maybe you stopped exercising.
Yes.
Maybe you used
Yeah.
to go on, have a walking club with your kids' high school mom friends, and
Mm.
your kids left and you stopped doing that and you didn't even realize it. And
Yeah.
you've gained the 10 pounds and you're constipated.
Yeah.
We have to look at all those things.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for adding that aspect to Melissa. Because, estrogen metabolism, right, also happens in your liver and in your gut. So with that conjugation part being affected, because liver, the estrogen has to bind to things in your gut. In that way, the metabolites are also excreted. If that part is not happening, they are recycling the whole estrogen. So that symptoms that they can have with excessive estrogen and the harmful effect of it, even if they are on bioidentical hormones, if their gut health is not fixed, if their constipation issue is not resolved, then it might be doing them more harm than good, even just that hormone replacement. So, for those of you out there, if you are just doing only hormone replacement but not working on the constipation aspect, not working on improving that gut health and liver health aspect, then you're not going to feel well all the way, and your hormones are not being metabolized properly. So, that should
That's a
be,
good point.
yeah, that should be an important reminder for women in this age group.
Hmm.
So I think we had a really lovely conversation, but let's give some inspiration for people, right? Tell us, share with us a client transformation that really illustrates your approach, and somebody who's tried everything, all the conventional advice, multiple doctors, laxatives. So what happened when you decoded their specific constipation pattern?
I don't know who I want to tell you about because I have so many good stories, but
Yeah, yeah.
because I work with a lot of women, but
Hmm.
I worked with a 28-year-old computer guy in Boston. He'd gone to MIT and he was really smart. He worked in this open floor with a lot of other programmers, and he spent a lot of his day sitting. And he had really bad gas and
Yeah.
really bad stomach pain. And
Mhm.
he said it got to the point where he felt like he couldn't be at work
Mhm.
because him having to get up to go to the bathroom to relieve himself,
Yeah.
right? To fart, essentially,
Yeah.
because he couldn't you have to excuse yourself and
Socially
come back. It
awkward.
was
Yeah.
so disrupting to everyone around him.
Mhm.
Because
Mm.
you imagine everyone's head down
Yeah.
and that he was considering leaving his job.
Wow.
which was a big deal. Like he had
Mhm.
gone to his doctor, to his boss, and asked if he could work from home, and that wasn't possible. And he was like, I don't know what to do. And we remodeled a lot of his activity, right? He
Yeah,
couldn't be
yeah.
sitting all the time. So he did get a standing desk at work.
Mm,
And he was actually, after he ate lunch, he was able to like do a 15, 20-minute walk. And he actually wound up sharing that desk with a couple of other people who had tremendous benefit from it as well, because moving around after you eat
yeah.
really helps you digest. And you never want to eat a big meal and lay down. You really don't even want to eat a big meal and sit down. If you can be on your feet 5, 10, 15 minutes after. That was a big one for him. We used a lot of digestive enzymes. We did some gut testing, some deeper gut testing for him, and he did have a couple of bad bacteria that were overgrown,
Mm,
missing a couple of good probiotics. So we just remodeled the microbiome. But
mm,
I think,
yeah.
digestive enzymes really helped him. But and the walking, and treating the gut bugs was obviously really important. But he was so happy. He
Yeah.
was so happy that he didn't have to leave his
Mhm.
job that he loved.
Yeah.
But he couldn't see a way out because no doctor had offered him help. When he took things like Miralax, it just made things worse.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Great.
that's it
Mhm.
reminds me of that's why I do the work I do, because
Mm,
it's not just about pooping every day. It's about getting your life back,
yeah.
and that's what I found for myself, and that's what I help people do.
That's such a great story, and that shows the impact of on their social life, professional life, even family life too, right? So all of those things with the health not being there, that can be affected too.
Mhm.
So that's a great story. I always like to leave our audience with three great tips, like our action steps that they can take after listening to us for this time. So, what would your three tips be for the audience? Mm.
My 3 tips would be: make sure you're hydrated.
Yep.
Start your day
Mhm.
with electrolytes, a
Mhm.
good quality electrolyte that doesn't have a bunch of color and sugar in it.
Yeah.
That way you know you're hydrated. A lot of
Mm.
people's hunger cues are actually thirst cues. And by
Okay.
the time you're thirsty, it's too
Mhm.
late. You're already dehydrated.
Yeah.
So hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. That's number
Mhm.
one. Number two is 30 fruits and vegetables a week.
Yeah.
Try it. If you have kids, it can be super fun to leave a list up on the refrigerator,
Mm.
1 through 30. And every time you try something new,
Yeah.
write it out. Or take your kids to the grocery store and see what they're interested in trying. That weird dragon fruit, try it. A
Mhm.
kiwi, yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's my second one. Um, and my third one, for people dealing with constipation, is don't give up. Don't
Mm.
give up and don't give in to
Mhm.
daily Miralax and
Right.
thinking that that's going to solve all your problems. Like, you can get your life back. You just have to know what's causing it, right? We always say, like, you can't fix your car. If you had a car and the red light came on your dashboard, and you're number one faced with two choices: you take it to the shop, or
Mhm.
you can just stick a little piece of duct tape, keep driving.
Yeah.
We do that a lot with our health. But then you
Mhm.
take it into the shop, and
Yeah.
unless the guy opens up that hood and looks inside, how's he going to
Mhm.
fix your car?
Exactly. Yeah.
If you don't have a sense of why your
Mhm.
gut problems are happening, and potentially using a gut test, what's there,
Yeah.
how can you fix it? So I give you the tools to fix it.
Yeah, great advice and a lot of valuable tips. And always digging into the root cause with your health is so important for that long-term destination. And my advice to all of you guys, those who are listening, is go and buy Melissa's book, The Constipation Code, which is available on Amazon. And we'll also leave details on how to reach out to Melissa, and also link also to buy the book, and also to her website as well under this podcast. So, Melissa, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing all of your wisdom and all of the great stuff, transformations that you do with being a poop whisperer. And I hope you continue to retain that title and change many more lives out there.